No one expected the room to go silent when she walked in. Barefoot, black, clothes torn, a backpack that looked heavier than her body. Inside a marble-floored bank where people whispered about investments and judged worth by suits, everyone laughed. Until the manager's face drained of color, until the screen froze on a number so large it made the air collapse, until the homeless black woman they wanted removed quietly asked, "May I be served now?" Minutes earlier, they had called her dirty, dangerous, unwelcome. Minutes later, they realized they had humiliated someone with more money, more truth, and more dignity than anyone in that room. But this story is not about money. It's about how fast people decide who deserves respect. It's about what happens when prejudice meets undeniable truth. And it's about one woman who could have destroyed them all, but chose something far more powerful. Stay with me, because what she does next changes everything. The glass doors of Lakeview Federal Bank slid open with a soft, expensive hiss, the kind of sound that usually meant safety, order, and money behaving itself. Inside, the marble floors gleamed. Soft jazz floated through hidden speakers. People in tailored coats stood in neat lines, checking their phones, clutching folders, thinking about mortgages, investments, lives that felt secure. Then Kiara Bennett walked in. She didn't slam the door. She didn't stumble. She didn't beg. She stepped inside barefoot, her feet rough and cracked from weeks on concrete. Her jeans were torn at the knees. Her hoodie was thin, stained, and several sizes too big. A frayed backpack hung from one shoulder like it had survived things no one in that room wanted to imagine. The change in the air was immediate. A white-haired woman gasped softly and pulled her purse closer. A man in a charcoal suit took one step back, then another, like Kiara carried something contagious. A mother tightened her grip on her son's hand and whispered something urgent in his ear. Eyes flicked toward security, toward the exits, toward anything except Kiara's face. She felt it. Of course she did. When you're black and homeless, people don't just see poverty, they see danger. They see threat. They see every ugly headline they've ever believed. Kiara walked forward anyway. She stopped at the main counter, placed both hands flat on the polished surface, and said calmly, clearly, "I need to check my balance." The teller froze. A beat passed, then another. A snort of laughter broke the silence, sharp and cruel. From the side, Tyler Grant, the security guard, moved fast. He was tall, broad, his uniform crisp, his hand already hovering near his radio. "Miss," he said, voice firm but edged with impatience, "you can't be in here like this. There's a shelter down Euclid Avenue. You need to leave." Kiara turned her head slowly and looked at him, not with anger, not with fear, with exhaustion. "I'm not here for help," she said. "I'm here to check my balance." Tyler frowned. "Balance?" He lowered his voice as if she were a child playing pretend. "You don't have an account here." A few people chuckled. Someone whispered, "Unbelievable." Kiara didn't raise her voice. She didn't defend herself. She just repeated, "I do have an account." The murmurs grew louder. "That's sad. Someone should call the police." She's clearly confused. At the far end of the lobby, Brent Wexler, the branch manager, noticed the disturbance. He strode over with irritation written all over his face, the kind of man who believed professionalism meant never being inconvenienced by other people's reality. "What's going on?" he demanded. Tyler gestured toward Kiara. "She walked in and won't leave. Says she has an account." Brent looked Kiara up and down slowly, deliberately. His lips curled into a smile that wasn't humor, just superiority. "Ma'am, I don't know what kind of stunt you think you're pulling, but this is a federal bank. Our clients expect a certain standard." Kiara met his gaze. "I'm a client." Brent laughed out loud. "You?" He shook his head. "You're disturbing people. You're making them uncomfortable." Uncomfortable. Kiara felt something tighten in her chest, not surprise, not even anger. Recognition, because she had heard that word everywhere these past 6 months, from police officers who wouldn't take her statement, from store owners who watched her like she might steal air, from people who crossed the street when they saw her coming. "I'm asking for a basic service," she said. "That's it." Brent leaned closer, his voice dropping. Look at yourself. Do you honestly think anyone in your condition belongs in this bank? Before Kiara could respond, a sharp, authoritative voice cut through the tension. Wait! All eyes turned. Madeline Crowe approached from behind the glass offices, heels clicking against the marble like punctuation marks. She wore a tailored navy suit, flawless makeup, and an expression that suggested she'd never once doubted her place in a room. She stopped directly in front of Kiara, invading her space, and smiled thinly. You claim you have an account here? Yes, Kiara said. Full name. Kiara Bennett. Madeline raised an eyebrow. Pretty name. Her eyes flicked briefly over Kiara's clothes. Doesn't quite match the presentation. A few quiet laughs rippled through the crowd. Madeline turned to Brent. Check the system. Let's end this. Brent typed quickly, clearly enjoying the performance. Then his fingers slowed. His posture changed. Madeline noticed immediately. Well, there is a Kiara Bennett, Brent said, his voice suddenly less confident. Account opened 18 years ago. The lobby shifted. Madeline's smile faded. That proves nothing. Check the documents. Brent clicked again, sweat starting to bead along his hairline. ID on file. Social security number. Everything matches. Madeline crossed her arms. Fine. What's the balance? Probably a few dollars sitting untouched. Brent opened the account summary. He stopped breathing. Brent? Madeline said sharply. Say it. He couldn't. He turned the screen toward her. Madeline stared, her face drained of color so fast it was almost frightening. The number was real. Enormous. Life-altering. The room fell into stunned silence. Kiara stood there quiet, steady, while the people who had laughed at her minutes earlier tried to process the fact that the barefoot black woman they wanted removed had more money than most of them would ever see. Madeline snapped the screen away from public view. This has to be a system error, she said, but her voice trembled. I've checked 3 times, Brent whispered. The account is active. A man in line scoffed loudly, desperate to regain control. This is ridiculous. You're holding everyone up for her. A woman beside him added, we pay real money to bank here. Tyler shifted uncomfortably. Sir, please lower your voice, Kiara finally spoke again. May I prove who I am? Madeline hesitated, then nodded curtly. Do you have identification? Kiara slowly reached into her backpack. Tyler stiffened, hand moving closer to his belt. It's just my wallet, Kiara said quietly. She pulled out a worn ID and handed it over. Madeline examined it, then glanced at Kiara's face. The photo showed a younger woman, hair neatly styled, eyes bright with promise. But the eyes were the same. Madeline handed the ID back, her fingers shaking. So, you are Kiara Bennett? Yes. And you expect us to believe you ended up like this? With that kind of money? The question landed like an accusation. Kiara inhaled deeply. My parents died 6 months ago. Car accident. After that, my Aunt Paula Knox and Uncle Evan Knox told me they'd help me. Instead, they tried to steal everything. They locked me in their house, took my phone, filed fake medical reports to have me committed. The room grew painfully quiet. I escaped. I lived on the streets. No one believed me. Not the police, not the courts, except one lawyer, Graham Ellison. Last week, a judge ruled in my favor. My accounts were unlocked by court order. From the back, an older woman stepped forward. Mrs. Nora Whitfield, a longtime employee, her voice trembling. I remember your parents, Dr. Samuel Bennett, Dr. Renee Bennett. They opened that account for you when you were a child. Kiara closed her eyes briefly. Madeline swallowed hard. The truth was no longer avoidable. And for the first time since Kiara walked through those doors, no one laughed. Before next part, let me ask you, have you ever judged someone the moment you saw them without knowing their story? And be honest, how would you have reacted if she had walked in right next to you? Share your thoughts below. The silence inside Lakeview Federal Bank wasn't peaceful. It was heavy, pressurized, like the air right before a storm breaks. No one laughed anymore. People who had been scrolling on their phones minutes earlier were now staring openly at Kiara Bennett, as if looking harder might explain how a barefoot black woman in torn clothes could be standing at the center of a financial earthquake. Madeline Crowe straightened her spine, fighting to regain authority. She had built her career on control, on never letting a room slip out of her hands. And yet, this room no longer belonged to her. "Brent," she said, lowering her voice, "pull the full statement. Last 6 months. Now." Brent Wexler nodded too fast, fingers flying over the keyboard. The printer hummed to life, spitting out page after page. The sound felt obscene in the silence, like proof being manufactured in real time. Kiara waited. She didn't pace. She didn't fidget. She stood still, shoulders squared, eyes calm. That composure unsettled people more than anger ever could. It made them feel watched, measured. A man near the windows leaned toward his wife and whispered, "This doesn't make sense." Nothing ever does when your assumptions collapse. Brent handed the stack of papers to Kiara. "Here." She took them carefully, as if the paper itself carried weight. Her eyes moved line by line, trained, focused. Halfway down the third page, her expression changed, just slightly. "What's this?" she asked, tapping a line with her finger. Brent leaned closer, squinting. His face drained again. "That's a transfer attempt. $10 million. The room reacted all at once. Gasps, sharp inhales. Someone muttered, "Oh my God." Kiara didn't look up. "Was it successful?" "No," Brent said quickly. "It required biometric authentication. It was blocked." "When?" "August 15th. Kiara closed her eyes for a brief moment, like she was steadying herself against a memory. Then she opened them. "Who initiated it?" Brent hesitated. Madeline snapped, "Answer her." "Evan Knox," Brent said. "Your uncle." The name rippled through the lobby like poison dropped into water. Madeline took a step back without realizing she had moved. "There's more," Brent added quietly. 2 weeks later, another attempt. $500,000 in cash, also blocked. Kiara let out a soft, humorless laugh. "So he kept trying." A woman in line shook her head slowly. "That's sick." 6 months ago, that same woman had clutched her purse tighter when Kiara walked in. Kiara folded the papers neatly. "I want all third-party access permanently revoked. No power of attorney, no exceptions. Not now, not ever." Brent nodded. "Yes, ma'am." The word "ma'am" echoed. Moments earlier, Kiara hadn't even been allowed to stand at the counter. Mrs. Nora Whitfield stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Honey, why didn't you come to us? We could have helped." Kiara turned toward her, not unkindly. "I did. 3 times. I never made it past the door." Nora's eyes filled with tears. Madeline swallowed hard. She felt something unfamiliar creeping up her spine. Shame. Kiara shifted her attention back to Madeline. "You asked how someone like me could end up homeless with money in the bank." Madeline stiffened. "I'll tell you," Kiara continued, "because money doesn't protect you when people decide you don't deserve credibility. When you're grieving, when you're black, when you're alone." Her voice was steady, but every word cut deep. "I went to the police. They listened to my aunt and uncle. Not me. They saw my clothes, my shaking hands, and decided I was unstable. They never asked why." Several people looked down. "One officer told me I should be grateful my family cared enough to get me help." Kiara's jaw tightened. "They never even took my statement." Tyler Grant shifted where he stood, guilt crawling across his face. "I slept in Public Square Park for weeks," Kiara went on. "Rain, cold, nights where I thought it might be easier not to wake up. And every morning, people walked past me like I was already gone." The room felt smaller. Madeline's composure cracked. I didn't know." Kiara met her eyes. "That's the point. You never asked." A long pause stretched between them. Then Kiara said something no one expected. "I don't want the VIP room." Madeline blinked. "Excuse me?" "I want to be served here, at this counter, in front of everyone." The meaning landed instantly. This wasn't about convenience, it was about exposure. Madeline knew it too. "As you wish," she said, her voice thin. Brent logged back into the system. "What would you like to do next, Ms. Bennett?" "I want to secure the account," Kiara said. "Then I want a cash withdrawal scheduled. 50,000. Brent nearly choked. "In cash?" "Yes." Madeline found her voice again. "For a withdrawal of that size, We'll need to follow protocol. Paperwork, scheduling, security transport. I understand, Kiara said. Tomorrow, same time. As Brent worked, a man in a navy blazer stepped forward. He cleared his throat awkwardly. I owe you an apology. Kiara looked at him. I said you were holding things up, he continued. I was wrong. Kiara studied his face, then she nodded once. Thank you. It wasn't forgiveness, it was acknowledgement. Madeline stood there, hands clasped tightly, watching her entire worldview unravel. 15 years in banking, and she had never felt smaller. Ms. Bennett, she said quietly, I treated you with disrespect. Kiara waited. I judged you, Madeline continued, her voice breaking, and I was wrong. The lobby held its breath. Kiara didn't smile. You called me dirty. You said I had no rights. That stays with people. Madeline's eyes filled. I know. I could file a complaint, Kiara said calmly. With my balance, with my family name, it would end your career. Madeline went pale. But I won't, Kiara finished. A stunned murmur passed through the room. I won't, Kiara repeated, because I refuse to become what hurt me. Madeline's shoulders sagged as if a weight had finally dropped. Thank you, she whispered, tears falling freely now. I'm not doing this for you, Kiara said. I'm doing it for the next person who walks through those doors looking like I did. She turned away. Brent slid the paperwork across the counter. Kiara signed each page slowly, deliberately. When she finished, she picked up her backpack. As she headed toward the doors, Charles Whitaker, the regional director, appeared from the back office. He had been watching, listening. Ms. Bennett, he said, extending his hand. On behalf of Lakeview Federal Bank, I owe you an apology. Kiara shook his hand. Make sure it means something. It will, he said. Training, accountability, real consequences. She nodded, then walked out into the afternoon sun. Behind her, the glass doors closed softly. No one moved. Because everyone inside that bank knew one thing now. They had almost made a terrible mistake. And the only reason it hadn't destroyed them was because the woman they humiliated chose dignity over revenge. The next morning, Lakeview Federal Bank looked exactly the same. Same marble floors, same polished counters, same quiet confidence that money always carried itself with. But the people were different. When Kiara Bennett stepped through the glass doors at precisely 2 o'clock, the conversation stopped. Not because she was unwelcome, but because everyone recognized her. She wasn't barefoot anymore. She wore clean jeans, simple sneakers, and a gray hoodie that fit her shoulders properly. Her hair was pulled back neatly, nothing flashy, nothing expensive. And yet, the room felt smaller in her presence than it had the day before. A few employees nodded respectfully. One woman offered a hesitant smile. No one laughed. No one whispered. Brent Wexler came out from behind the counter immediately. Good afternoon, Ms. Bennett. Everything is ready. Kiara nodded. Thank you. He led her to the counter. No VIP room, just like she had requested. A black case was placed gently on the marble surface and opened. Neatly stacked bills filled the inside. 50,000, Brent said, as requested. Kiara checked quickly and signed the final form. Her hand didn't shake. As she closed the case, a familiar voice spoke from behind her. Ms. Bennett? She turned. Charles Whitaker, the regional director, stood there in a dark suit, his expression serious but sincere. I wanted to personally apologize again. We failed you. I won't pretend otherwise. Kiara met his eyes. Apologies matter, she said, but change matters more. They're already scheduled, he replied. Mandatory training, new protocols, and accountability. She nodded once. That was enough. As Kiara walked toward the exit, Madeline Crowe stepped forward, hands clasped tightly. Her eyes were red, her posture humbler than anyone had ever seen her. I just want you to know, Madeline said quietly, what you said yesterday, it changed something in me. Kiara paused. Then do something with it. Madeline swallowed. I will. The doors closed behind Kiara and sunlight washed over her face. For the first time in months, she didn't feel like she was running. 2 blocks away at Public Square Park, someone was waiting on a bench beneath a bare oak tree. Graham Ellison stood the moment he saw her. I was worried. I'm okay, Kiara said, setting the case down. It's done. He exhaled deeply. Good. Truly good. They sat together for a moment, watching people pass. Office workers, parents with strollers, a man sleeping on a bench nearby, jacket pulled over his head. "What will you do now?" Graham asked gently. Kiara followed his gaze to the man on the bench. "I'll rebuild," she said, "but not just for myself." Later that afternoon, Kiara stopped outside a small diner on a quiet street. The sign read, "The Maple Spoon." Inside, the smell of fried chicken and coffee wrapped around her like something remembered. Behind the counter stood Ms. Althea Johnson, her gray-streaked hair pulled back, her hands strong from decades of work. Althea looked up. "Can I help you, sweetheart?" Kiara smiled softly. "You already did, a few months ago." Althea squinted, then gasped. "You're that girl, from the park." "Yes, ma'am." "You're standing," Althea said, eyes filling. "You're standing." "I am," Kiara said. She slid an envelope across the counter. "And I wanted to thank you." Althea opened it and froze. "Baby, I can't accept this." "You can," Kiara said gently, "because what you gave me was worth more than money." They hugged, long and tight, two women holding on to a moment that felt like grace. 2 weeks later, a modest building near downtown opened its doors with a simple sign out front. The Bennett Dignity Project Legal Help, temporary housing referrals, medical access, counseling, a place where people were listened to before they were judged. Mrs. Nora Whitfield stood behind the reception desk, newly retired, smiling warmly at the first person who walked in. On the wall hung framed photos of Dr. Samuel and Dr. Renee Bennett, smiling the way people do when they believe kindness is a responsibility, not a choice. One afternoon, Kiara sat at her desk when someone knocked. "Come in." Madeline Crowe stepped inside. "I resigned," Madeline said quietly. Kiara looked up. "Why?" "Because I couldn't go back," Madeline answered. "Not without becoming someone I don't want to be anymore." She hesitated. "I'd like to volunteer here, if you'll let me." Kiara studied her for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Everyone deserves the chance to be better." Months passed. The project helped dozens, then hundreds. Stories filled the halls. People who had been ignored, dismissed, written off. People who were finally seen. One evening, Kiara walked back through Public Square Park. A young man sat near the fountain, head down, hands shaking. She stopped. "What's your name?" she asked. He looked up, surprised. "Miles." "Are you hungry, Miles?" He nodded slowly. "Come with me," Kiara said, holding out her hand. "I know a place." He took it. They walked together as the sun dipped behind the buildings, two lives moving forward instead of standing still. Kiara didn't feel like a hero. She felt human. And that was enough. How did this story make you feel? Do you think Kiara made the right choices at the end? If this story touched you, comment 1 or 11 below to let me know. Where are you watching from today? Tell me your country in the comments. And if this message mattered to you, please like and share it, because dignity should never be optional. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future.